Welcome to the Whole Life Podcast Show. Today we're talking about epic comebacks after loss in motherhood. And I'm going to share some of my story in regard to losses in motherhood, including my full-term or almost full-term stillborn that I had. And I am doing this for all the mothers and fathers out there that have lost children or have had losses in parenthood. I want you to know that God has an epic comeback for you. So I'm going to dive right into my story, but I do want to say, trigger alert, this is hard content, and we know this is a very real thing that people go through. We know that in 2021, 1.9 million women had stillborns, which would be babies in utero that passed away at 28 weeks or over. And I myself had a 36-week stillborn, and I want to tell you that story. And I want to share with you the hope that I have found in Christ. In addition, many of us have been through miscarriages. Many of us have been through different losses in our childhood. Some of us have lost children after birth. Some of us have lost children partially to a divorce situation where we don't get to be around our children as much. Sometimes we lose our children to their prodigal walk that they are carrying out, much to our chagrin. So this area of losses in motherhood, losses in parenthood, can be extensive. We often think we are signing up for a journey that's going to be full of love and belonging and a future full of hope. And those futures don't always work out the way that we thought that they would. And so what do we do with this? Sometimes as a psychologist, I will tell parents, this child has been your blessing. But right now, this child is your assignment. You know, our children are our assignment. We are to care for them as long as they are here with us on earth. And this side of earth, this side of heaven, there are difficult things that happen. We don't always understand them. And so I'm going to talk to you about some tools that have helped me. We're going to talk about some of the heart journey tools that have helped me. But let me tell you my story about Michael. So I was eating at a restaurant chain with my husband, and I was noticing that I was not getting my fetal kicks. And it felt like when I moved around, I could feel the baby moving, but I wasn't sure if it was just the baby moving in the fluid when I moved, or it was actually the baby moving. And I said to myself, if I'm still feeling this in the morning, I'm going to go see the doctor if the baby's not moving very much. And so I made an appointment. I went in to the doctor. I remember I read a devotional that morning, and the devotional was about a doctor who had stopped practicing medicine because his son died in a war. And then people started showing up and saying, hey, I knew your son. Would you treat me? And he realized that as he served, he was doing it unto his son. And his son had passed away. And so God had planted a little seed, I know now, that there's going to be a loss, but that loss is going to be used to help others. And I'm not saying God caused the loss. I don't understand why these things happen. But I went into the doctor after doing my devotional, and I remember her putting the stethoscope on my belly and looking around. And I remember the look of fright that began to come across her face as she searched for it might have not been a stethoscope. It actually might have been an ultrasound. I'm not sure. I think it was an ultrasound. And she couldn't find it. So then she tried to stay calm. She left. I remember how cold it was. And she went to get someone else to come in. And ultimately, we discovered that the baby had no heartbeat. The baby had died in utero. And in fact, I had to birth that baby. I remember they gave me Pitocin to put me in labor, and then I fell out of labor. They had to put me back in labor, and it was hard. And I remember there was this moment where I had to say to myself, I have to birth this baby. I have to go through this. And one of the things I want to encourage you with is sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, I could never go through that. It would be too hard for me to go through that. And the death of a child was one of those things for me. To lose a child, I'd already had one miscarriage, and then I had 2 live births, my 2 boys, and then this was my last pregnancy, another boy named Michael. And I thought, I just can't go through losing a child. And I didn't think I could go through birthing him, but I want you to know that there is no place that you can go where God will not be there, no matter what you're facing. So I had already been through some losses in motherhood at this point. I had been through a miscarriage, and I'd already been through a divorce. And so this baby was with my second husband. And so I had already been through losses. So I had lost some of the time with my children through divorce. I'd had them mostly. I was primary custodian. But I'd also lost that dream of family, and I was trying to recreate that dream. So what do we do? What do we do when we're trying to build and there's loss in this area of our motherhood? Well, one of the things that helped me was to realize that God was good even though my situation was hard, and that there's strength in the Lord for the day, that I had to keep going through my day and showing up for my kids that were there. Gratitude helped me a lot. But there's one tool in particular, one of the Heart Journey tools that's in the Heart Journey book and journal, and that is the beautiful place prayer. God had given me this as a tool many, many years ago, that if I'm going through a hard time, pray that God would make it a beautiful place, and pray that God would make it a blessing for others. How does God do that? I don't know, but He is able, and He has never failed me. In fact, I minister to women who've been through infertility, fertility loss, and what I call the dark side of motherhood, these hard pieces. The other thing that helped me is knowing that God is above my children. I need God more than I need children, and that God is more important to me than any human relationship. And so keeping that relationship key. See, if children are above the Lord and then we lose our children to death or any of these difficult situations we're talking about, then we can become so disheartened that we're not going to walk with the Lord. But the Lord is really the one we need. I think about Job. He lost his children. He went through a process where he, as we've been talking about in this podcast series, of hungering and being humbled and of loss. Yet he lamented, and he grieved, but he did not lose his faith in the Lord. We are born into a broken and fallen world, and it does impact our motherhood or our parenthood. 21.3%, there's a 21.3% of miscarriage after 5 weeks pregnant. That's a high percentage. So many of us go through this. But where is our faith? So I'm going to give you a few other Heart Journey tools that help me. I used the time reversing trauma tool, where I took my memories and I broke them up into slices, and I went through each slice of the memory with the Lord. And I brought into each slice what I needed in that slice. Comfort of the Lord, to know that Michael is with Jesus in heaven, to be able to even imagine seeing Michael in heaven with Jesus. The beautiful place tool, I've already told you about that. The seed to acceptance tool. I needed to accept that this had happened. I also needed to put away false guilt and use the Heart Journey tool for uncoupling from false guilt. There's this feeling like, what if I did something wrong to cause this, especially with our children? And so I had to put away and uncouple from false guilt. Also, I use the pain to purpose drawing, where we draw out our pain and what it feels like, and we express it viscerally. And then we draw the opposite to get in touch with the hope that's possible. And then we draw the kingdom purpose drawing. How can God use this? I don't want any of my pain to be wasted. I want it all to be used for ministry. I used the oscillation tool, the heart journey oscillation tool, where I was with the pain of the stillborn and seeing Michael there with the pain of that, and then oscillating over into the love and the comfort of Jesus and being with the pain. And many of these tools use what's called the memory reconsolidation window to help heal and shift emotional learning. And these things help me grieve as well. Also, in the Satisfy Unmet Needs tool, I had an encounter with Jesus where he showed me, I believe he showed me Michael in heaven. And I felt like he said hello to me. Beloved, there is so much healing, and I want to help you. I have something free for you to help you work through this process. It is a free ebook. Go to drbarbaraministries.org, drbarbara ministries.org /mother, and you can get my free book, which is, and I have it pulled up here, Hope for the Dark Side. Here Comes the Sun, Healing for the Dark Side of Motherhood. And in there, you will get my tool, Mother Tool, where it's an acronym for how to heal from these losses. And it gives you the tool of meaning, others, talk, and some other tools as well. And the acronym is Mother. So I want to get that in your hands. All right, let me pray for you, because I know that losses in motherhood are difficult. And maybe you had a stillborn, or maybe a miscarriage, or maybe you're going through a broken relationship, an estranged relationship right now with one of your children. God is greater than this situation. God is at work. And I want to encourage you that even though it hurts, God is able to meet the needs of your heart. But don't push it down. Don't stuff it down. Bring it before him. Come into biblical lament and share your heart with him. Share with a friend. Get the free ebook and go through the mother tools in the book. All right, let me pray. Lord, I thank you for the people listening who have experienced loss in their motherhood or in their parenthood. And I pray for deep, deep comfort. God, you have comforted me so deeply, and I'm praying for such deep comfort to each one, deep, deep within. Lord, I just see the pain. The pain is so great, but your love is greater. Father, you don't want these hard and awful things to be happening to us, but yet we are born into a war and born into a broken world. But you are good, and I release your goodness. I release your goodness into every place. And I want to encourage the person who is really struggling with bitterness towards the Lord. Share with him, pour out your heart like Hannah did. Hannah poured out her heart before the Lord. She was so upset she seemed like she was drunk. And God met her and heard her. But God used her infertility issues to bring her to an end of herself and a deep surrender that she would even give her first child to the Lord for the service of the priesthood. Beloved, let go. Come to him, and don't let anything turn you away from him. I love you. Get your free ebook. I am with you, and I will see you in the next podcast.